You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to have you here back with me today. Looking forward to getting right into our house calls. If you're new to our weekend edition of the show, this is where we answer our community's questions each and every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. Maybe you don't listen on Saturdays and Sundays, but you can catch up any time during the week, and this is where we answer our community's questions. We go over everything wellness-based, everything weight loss or body transformation. We go over nutrition. We go over diet, exercise, stress reduction, emotional balance, supplementation. We go over success mindset. We talk about health coaching and everything in between. So I welcome all questions. I'm happy to go over those questions each and every weekend. And it's one of the things that I, absolutely enjoy the most, because for me, instead of me doing 40, 50, 60 hours of private practice now, I'm still in private practice, but not to the same level I was before. Now what I try to do is teach from one to as many as possible. So the nice thing on the podcast is I can reach 1 million people every month. And so that's an amazing thing to be able to say, okay, maybe I'm not seeing the same 40 people like I once was, but I can oversee hundreds of labs a week. So I can oversee all of those people in our practice, but I can also then reach as many people as possible with this type of information based on what we call the 7 disciplines of natural health and integrative health, in order to help people heal. So just looking forward to getting right into the questions. So what I do is I go through all of the questions in the order that they've come in. So essentially, we are typically anywhere from about 8 to 12 weeks backlogged with questions. It doesn't mean that you can't submit a question at all. It just means that it's going to take about 8 to 12 weeks to answer your question. We answer them in the order they come in. And if you'd like your question answered sooner, we're happy to help with that as well. And just simply head on over to cabralsupportgroup.com. That is a free private Facebook group where my team and I answer your questions right inside of that group. So we welcome one and all. We would love positive people there who are looking to help others as well as get help themselves. All right. For all questions today, for today's show, head on over to stephencabral.com/1282, and you'll be able to read all of the questions as we go along. Okay. The first question is from Isabelle. Thanks so much for your extraordinary work, Dr. Cabral. I have been having hormone and adrenal issues for a decade. That became at times debilitating around age 27. Since that time, I began making radical changes in my diet and taking high-quality supplements. I've maintained a very healthy, organic diet for 5 years now, supplementing for adrenal, gut, thyroid health for the past 3 years. Starting from ovulation until days before my menstrual cycle, my energy levels plummet. And starting a few days before my cycle, like clockwork, I lose water weight. That probably should say a few days. Before my cycle, like clockwork. I know my estrogen levels are normal, but dominant. I'm 32 years old. I've started noticing rapid loss in collagen and skin and some cellulite on my legs, saggy skin around my chin and neck. The skin, all of my body is aging stunningly fast, which is strange considering how young I am and how well I take care of myself. What would cause such a rapid aging of skin elasticity? That's a great question, and I'm happy to answer that. So it's really great that you are beginning to understand that it sounds like you have what's called estrogen dominance. There's no doubt about that. Again, you can prove that to yourself scientifically through a thyroid adrenal hormone test, or just like you found, is that somewhere around days 19 to 25 or so of your cycle, you begin to get all of those premenstrual based symptoms. And then what happens is, as your both levels drop out, estrogen and progesterone, those symptoms go away. So what I'd like to do first is just make sure that we don't have too low a level of progesterone, too low a level of estrogen, too low a level of testosterone or DHEA, because all of those will absolutely cause the skin to age faster. It won't be as tight, it won't be as taut, it won't be as thick. I also would love you to run a organic acids test. Why? I want to look at your gut function. Are you absorbing nutrients well enough? Because you might be low in your B vitamins and low in your vitamin C. If you don't have collagen, if you don't have vitamin C, let's take out collagen for a second. If you don't have enough vitamin C, you don't have enough zinc, you don't have enough copper, and you don't have enough natural anti-inflammatories for the body, you won't be able to rejuvenate that skin as well. So if you don't want to run those, that's okay as well. I would at least make sure you are supplementing with all of your B vitamins. So I would do the daily foundational protocol level 2 or level 3 to improve your digestion. And that will give you all your plant-based nutrients as well. Your omega-3s, really important for the skin too. And I think that's a great place to start. So that's where I would start. And we can help you more if we knew your mineral levels, zinc and copper for sure. And we'd also know your stress levels and your thyroid adrenal hormone levels too. So hopefully that helps get you started. Christina's up next. Hi, Stephen. I'm such a huge fan of everything you do and have also had a 3-month program with one of your health coaches. I'm a Vata, and at the time, my energy and iron was low. I did all of the tests, the thyroid adrenal hormone and hair tissue. So as she looked at the tests, she suggests twice a week red meat. My question is why? I'm mostly vegan and all the people around me say that meat is bad. I hang out with many vegans and feel like such a bad person. I also want my girl to be vegan, yet my husband will not be vegan and I'm just so torn and upset. I read all the books on health. One half says I will harm my health if I don't eat a little meat, and I don't want to harm me, but even more my daughter. I'm upset because I don't want to support the meat industry. It's hurting my marriage, and I just want my girl to at least be able to know what's going on with the animals, but she's only 2. Please share some light. Kind regards, Christina. Okay, yeah, it's a great question, and you know, this is a very divisive topic. So if one of my health coaches recommended red meat, it's simply because it's one of the fastest ways to raise your iron levels. Now, keep in mind, we don't recommend necessarily red meat long term. So you have to look at 2 things, and Ayurveda does the same. They have the Vikriti and they have the Prakriti. And the Prakriti is your genetic predisposition, right? If you're a Vata, you're going to be more catabolic. So what we need to do is build up anabolism. Now, if you don't eat any meat, any fish, any eggs, or any dairy, those are the most anabolic foods. However, you can still get anabolism through beans and dal and legumes and vegan-based protein powders. That works as well. So you can totally do that. Oats are anabolic, more starches, all of those are great. So keep in mind, we work with people that are vegan, people that pescatarian, only eat fish, pescatarian, whatever, like we work with anyone. Our job is this. So our job is to make you healthy and get your levels back to where they should be, and then allow you to live the life that you want. Like, that's it. But if you told one of my coaches that you were vegan, there's no way they would recommend red meat, because they would respect that. And just like all my coaches, respect that too. I also did a podcast called Mounting Evidence Against Meat, and not even just red meat, but showing how too much meat in the diet causes and can cause a correlation with cancer. That's proven now. That's, people try to fight it. It's been proven over and over. We have to be careful with saying that it's not true, because meat is an anabolic food. We've known this through every single form of medicine. When you eat more anabolic foods and you're in more of a much greater anabolic state, it can increase insulin growth factor. And when you do that, you have a greater preponderance and predisposition to cancer. So that's just one. And if you have cancer cells in your body, it can allow for the proliferation of that. Now, I'm not saying that you can't eat any meat. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm also not saying that you should be vegan. My goal is to help you be healthy however you choose to do it. And then at the same time, for your daughter, I would not force her to do one or the other. I know a lot of families, their kids just don't want to eat any meat, whatever it might be. Well, we just have to make sure that they're growing and the bodies are healthy. So first, let's do this through a scientific measure. Is your body healthy? Like, again, for whether you're paleo, you're carnivore, you're keto, you're vegan, you're whatever you want to be. I don't love all the terminology, because then we have to kind of be put in these buckets, and one person feels good about themselves and one person doesn't feel good about themselves because they're not this and they're not that. Well, stop judging. Let's stop judging each other. And the other thing is this: where we're at right now in our life may not be where we are in 6 months from now or a year from now. And so that's important as well. So get yourself healthy through whatever means that you feel are appropriate, and then you can create the life that you want. So that's that. And we have lots of vegan-based ways to raise your iron. I did a whole show on vegan-based forms of iron. So check out that podcast on vegan forms of iron. Thank you for writing in, Christina, and we will be there for you whenever you need us. Rick's up next. Best podcast I've heard. Thank you so much for the info you share. Thank you, Rick. My question, what can I do to speed up the recovery of my whiplash? My neck has been stiff and painful for over 8 months now. It's affected my life in many ways. I've had slow minor improvement. I'm still suffering. I hit a pole trying to swerve around a car that abruptly stopped. I'm afraid I might be dealing with this the rest of my life. I tried acupuncture, many rounds of PT, orthopedic, no help from GP, neurology, MGH, MRI, and x-rays show as normal. I've tried heavy exercise, weight, cardio, just can't shake it. Thank you so much for your help. I will be scheduling an appointment in the near future with your team for other reasons as well. All right, Rick, let me see if I can help you with this. So hands down, you want to see someone in your local area or wherever you need to go that will specialize in this particular type of recovery. So what I would do on my end is I would look for everything that is not allowing you to be in the best healing state possible. Are you low on your vitamin C levels? Are you low on zinc? Like that's right off the bat. Are you low on your levels of glutamine or your levels of amino acid? Are you too high in omega-6s versus omega-3s? I'd love to see an omega-6, omega-3 test, right? That would be super important. So I want to make sure that your body has everything it needs to heal. That's what I do. Like that's the position that I put you in. Then I would also be doing, for me, I would find a really great functional range specialist. Let me see if I can find that right now. I'm going to find this for you. But also a chiropractor that's not going to do adjustments for you. But what they're going to do is look at the soft tissue, look at the alignment of the neck. Remember, if your biomechanical alignment, meaning if your vertebrae are in alignment, there's no impingement, there's no bulging, then what we're really talking about is soft tissue damage or soft tissue tightness, that's the best way I can put it, that needs to be corrected at a fascial level. And that can be done. That it can absolutely be done. So there's acupuncture, there's float tank, all those things are great. But I would see someone that specializes in this. And then at the same time, work on your internal, right? Your internal development to balance any unneeded inflammation, as well as balancing all of your mineral levels, etc. So I'm going to see if I can scroll through some of my notes here. Functional range conditioning. Look for someone certified at a ideally master level in FRC. And they are kind of like the next wave of personal trainer / postural alignment / mobility, right? It's like next level. So check that out, all right? Functional range conditioning. Okay. Michael's up next. I'm 35. I'm struggling with dermatographia. I started a year and a half ago and coming through a stressful time. I got sick a couple weeks. Prior to this first sign of the issue, it noticeably spread over my legs and 10 days spreading over my whole body. When it reached my face, it flushed my face for a couple days, so I couldn't even rest on a pillow. I've tried many things, detoxes, 10-day juice fasts, gut protocols, month of keto, followed by a water fast. Nothing seems to help or make it worse. I have no other issues, have not had any medications or even so much as aspirin since I got sick about a year and a half ago. Doctors want to give me antihistamines, which I won't take. It's much better than at its worst point, but I'm still trying to get a scratch or bump my skin itches. At a 20 on a scale of 1 to 10, there's no swelling, just red, intense itching, starting about 20 seconds from stimulation. I'm happy to help with this. So you went through a super stressful time, most likely increase those elevated levels of cortisol, right? Well, along with that, what nobody really talks about is that it also then begins to imbalance the immune system. So this is not just about antihistamines. This is about immune balance. And I actually talked about this. It is on episode 1278, okay? I'm going to check out episode 1278. And this will be talking about histamine issues, all right? This is the show that's going to give you a lot of the answers you need. Because what happens is there's an imbalance with Th2 immunity, there's an imbalance with mast cells, it starts to create additional histamines. Those histamines show up as skin inflammation, rashes, hives, urticaria, etc., etc. So first what we're going to do is we're going to put you on, it was episode 1264, the new anti-inflammatory low amine diet. So that's going to be the first part, but also I highly recommend really upping your levels of vitamin C, repairing the gut. Just make sure, again, like not all programs are the same quality. I would run an organic acids test for sure, see if you have candida overgrowth, maybe a stool test as well. Get rid of those food sensitivities. I mean, if you can run a big 5, run a big 5, because you could have also crashed in your cortisol levels. If you don't produce enough cortisol, you don't produce enough natural anti-inflammatory. Remember, cortisol is not always the bad guy. Ask me how I know 20 years ago dealing with Addison's disease, right? So I'm very happy to have my cortisol back. That's very, very important. So we need to look at this as a multifactorial issue where we're looking at immune balance, we're looking at potentially gut overgrowth, we're looking at a lack of an enzyme called diamine oxidase, we are looking at Th2 dominance, potential food sensitivities if we haven't done an elimination diet. That's what we need to do. There's just an initial protocol. Again, I would just do something, right? But first I would lab test, but if you can't, I would listen to those podcasts, which obviously are free. And then I would use something like our allergy protocol. Use the Hist Pro along with a higher dosage of vitamin C. Again, I can't give you medical recommendations, but I'm simply giving you suggestions as if I was sitting across from you right now in my practice. Great question. Thank you for writing in, and you wrote in on June 14th. Okay, next up is Anonymous. Hi, Dr. Cabral. First off, thanks for all you do. Second, I'm curious regarding your thoughts about plant-based meat substitute. I'm not going to put in, I don't disparage other companies, and I'm about to disparage other companies right now. So let me take that out. Would this be suitable to eat as I'm transitioning to more of a plant-based diet? If not, whole-based meat substitutes would you recommend? What plant-based meat substitutes would you recommend? Additionally, how would you suggest I go about switching to a plant-based diet? I've been eating paleo off and on for the past few years, but I feel like I'm having a hard time digesting meat now. Thanks so much. Okay, two great questions. One, never go plant-based or vegan simply because you can't digest meat. That's putting a Band-Aid on it. Find out why you can't digest meat. Why don't you produce enough stomach acid? Why don't you produce enough pepsin? Why don't you produce enough protease enzymes? Why is your lower esophageal sphincter maybe not staying closed when you eat? Why do you have a slower bowel transitory time or a slower gastric emptying from your stomach? So never do it for that reason. Now, you want to become totally plant-based or vegan. I support you. I can help you with that. But don't do it just because you can't digest properly. That's an issue, right? And that's going to stay with you for life if you don't figure that out. So be able to digest meat, but decide to remove meat if you want, not because of the digestive issues. Okay. Second is this. I do not and will not ever recommend a man-made food. Meaning I will not recommend some food made in a lab. Now you might say, well, why do you recommend a vegan-based protein? Because all a vegan-based protein powder would be is an extract or from a real food or a turning of this food ground down into a powder, like pea and rice, like hemp. Like that's an actual food. A lot of people won't know what this is, but of course you do, Anonymous, since you wrote in. The meat substitutes, I can't name the company because I don't want to disparage, but I would never recommend a meat made out of individual amino acids. Think about the consequences of what this could cause. When you're putting in a non-food substance into your body, like it's literally not even a food. It's not a food. It's not a real thing. I mean, people talk about how dangerous GMO foods are, right? Genetically modified organisms. At least that's still the food itself, right? Like most papaya are genetically modified, but at least it's still a real papaya. When you have these meat substitutes, it's not even meat. It looks like meat, kind of feels like meat in your mouth, but it's not real meat. So I can't recommend that. So you can get protein. I mean, Anonymous, here's the best thing you can do. Do the 7-day detox. Do the 14 or 21-day detox. It's all plant-based if you want it to be. And it gives you exactly what to eat at breakfast, what to eat at lunch, what to eat at dinner. I mean, it's exactly how to transition to a plant-based diet. Because at night, you have the option of doing fish or some poultry if you want, or another plant-based protein, and it tells you what that plant-based protein is. So check that out. It's going to tell you exactly what to do. Thank you for writing in, and I hope I answered your question. Kath is up next. Hi, Dr. Paul. What are your views or experiences with, okay, let's call it dynamic neural retraining system? Then we don't have to use the person's name. So specifically for someone with chronic health conditions, IBS, fatigue, hormonal imbalances, candida, SIBO, has done all the necessary lifestyle and diet changes protocols for a number of years, including a page-perfect de-stress protocol with recurring late relapses. Thank you. Okay, so here's my thoughts on the DNRS program, Dynamic Neural Retraining System, is that I'm all for it in general. So what it does is it actually starts to retrain the brain, right? The limbic system. And it affects how our brain communicates with our nervous system, with our body, and how we stimulate our HPA axis and stress. It contains some NLP. It contains some cognitive behavioral therapy. And I think it's great. But, here's the thing. I got well without this, but used these types of things. So, you're going to be doing a lot of the things from the de-stress protocol, but here's the thing. You test. Just make sure you don't have candida overgrowth, mold toxicity, heavy metal toxicity. Just make sure those really aren't there. Because if they're there, we know we can get rid of them. We can do that with the CBO protocol. So make sure those are really gone, that they're really gone, right? And that you've done a proven protocol. Ours is a guaranteed proven protocol. So make sure you do that. But again, for anyone to work on mind body, I'm always all for it. Always all for it, without a doubt, Kath. So thank you for writing in. I appreciate you. Okay, let's do one more question. Carrie's writing in next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm in the IHP program and loving it. Thanks for what you do. I'm a woman with Hashimoto's who is managing it well with her diet, exercise, self-care, basically practicing the de-stress protocol daily. I practice a daily 12-hour fast, occasionally pushing it to 13, 14 hours. I've listened to all of your podcasts about fasting ketosis. Is it best to practice a daily fast, sometimes intermittent fast, and pushing the time a little further, being predominantly plant-based, along with high-quality proteins and fats with Hashimoto's? Is there a time you feel is too long for a woman with Hashimoto's to fast? Just looking at some guidance on fasting, intermittent fasting, how it could affect a woman with Hashimoto's. Thanks so much. All right, great question. Now, I have answered this before. I've done many shows on thyroid and many shows on should you skip breakfast. I did a podcast called Should You Skip Breakfast? You should check out that podcast, Carrie. Again, all these podcasts, stephencabral.com/podcasts. Today was what? Did we say it was? 1282, I think? 1282. So there are 1,281 previous shows. I would love you to listen to every single one of them. But if we need to, we can focus back on which ones, will help you the most in the now. So let's check this out. If you are skipping breakfast, there's no doubt about it, unless you're in a relaxed state. If you're in a relaxed state, you're doing your breathing, you're easing into your day, you don't have your kids yelling at you, you're not trying to get them ready for work, you're not sitting in traffic, you're not immediately checking emails and stressed. Well, if you're relaxed, then you can absolutely push the fast a little longer. Now, it depends how catabolic you're getting. And I just did a podcast on this, so check it out. Check out episode, well, it was just 2 days ago, right? It was episode, where was it? 7 signs you become too catabolic and you're aging rapidly. 1279. Okay. So, let me just give you the answer you're looking for. Why don't I do that? All right. So here's the thing. Most people should do 12 hours a day, maybe 14 hours a day. That's about it. Stop eating at 6 o'clock at night. Eat again by about 8 o'clock the next morning. That's going to work for 90+% of the people. Some people will need a little longer. Some people will need a little bit less. For Hashimoto's and thyroid issues, do not put your body in a state of stress. So I'm not going to push it longer than that. But what I may do is 1 day a week of a 24-hour fast. So I'm going to do every day for 12 hours. And then what I'm going to do is for 24 hours a week, from let's say Sunday night through Monday night, I'm going to do a longer fast. And I'm just going to be doing water and maybe some ginger tea, hot ginger tea, herbal tea during the day, and that'll be great. But if that's a very stressful day for you, well, we might not be fasting that day. We're certainly not going to be exercising that day. It's going to be as relaxed as we can. So maybe it's a Sunday. Maybe you're going from Saturday night, you did a nice cheat meal, you're out with your friends, you're having a great time, and then you don't eat till Sunday night with your family. So you're eating every day. It's just you go the day. Now, that extra fasting time will allow your white blood cells to better remove the issues causing Hashimoto's in the first place. But the truth is this. If you have Hashimoto's, I want to help you heal Hashimoto's. So what I want to do is this. I want to do a 7, 14, 21-day detox, ideally a 21-day. Okay, it's going to have built-in longer fasting periods in there. That's only initially, right? And then we do it once a quarter, every 12 weeks. And then what I want you to do is run it before you actually do the detox. You want to run, this is what you want to do. You want to run an organic acids test and a stool test. If you have bacterial overgrowth or you have candida overgrowth, which is so common with autoimmune-based issues, we need to correct that or the Hashimoto's will never go away. So we want to do that. If we find them, we're going to do the CBO protocol. We're going to do it with either citruside or mastic gum, depending on what we find. Then we're going to seal up that gut wall. Okay? We're going to do our heal and seal, right? Our CBO finisher. We're going to close up the gut wall. Then the immune system's not going to be as aggravated. It's not going to be as heightened. We're also going to remove the foods that most cause Hashimoto's because they're immunoreactive. They react with the thyroid. We're also going to find out if you're high on mercury or if you're high in aluminum or if you're high in fluoride. And we're going to remove those things so that they're not blocking your thyroid as well. So there's no doubt about it. I mean, you come to us with Hashimoto's, we're going to help you. Again, we don't cure Hashimoto's. We rebalance the body at a molecular, at a cellular level. And at that point, when the body has been healed at that level, there can be no disease. Thank you, Carrie, for writing in. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And as always, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp hearts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.